So we're going to have a keynote from Craig Taylor. Craig, you there?
I am, yeah.
Fantastic. So there you go. This is your chance to shine now.
Great.
Just kidding. So
Thank you
over
so
to you.
much.
Over to you now.
Thanks so much, Paris. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks so much for having me here today. I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about bundling and packaging. But before I jump into that, why don't I introduce myself and tell you a little bit about who I am? So my name is Craig Taylor. I'm a director of sales at Vendasta. It really is a pleasure to speak with you today. And like I said, I'm excited to take you through this because we've been looking at this for a long time, the idea of bundling and packaging and how it can benefit your agency. I've been working with, excuse me, I've been working with agencies of all sizes for the past 7 years. I help them to start out and grow and scale their businesses. So, and right now specifically, I do a lot with people that are looking to start an agency too. And using Vendasta software and marketplace of products as the infrastructure to do that. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I am here to talk about today about product bundling. Take you through the benefits of selling in packages, both why it works for your clients and how it helps your agency to scale as well. Agencies that adopt a bundling strategy are 7 times more profitable per customer. They're able to reap massive savings by consolidating their tech stack, and they have a significantly higher retention rate. I want to start out by showing you 3 strategies for bundling, then dive into the data behind it for the benefits of creating packages. So let's think about some of the strategy of not only why you would bundle, but some of the elements and benefits of that. So, number one, selecting the right package based on your client's needs. One question that I always make sure that an agency has a good understanding of when bundling is who does the work? Who's going to do the actual fulfillment work behind that package, which might sometimes seem a little bit counterintuitive, but it's not always the agency that's doing the work. You can structure your packages to reflect that. So let's think about that for a second. You can have a do-it-yourself package, and that's where your client is going to do the work. You're providing them software or you're automating parts of that to make that process more efficient. Typically, if you're going to do a do-it-yourself, you are going to do the work, Mr. and Mrs. Client. It's going to be typically a fairly low-cost package, and I like to think that package is typically better as a last resort or something to get your foot in the door for an upsell opportunity down the line, because local businesses often benefit from having the work done for them. So then, a nice balance between that would be something like a do it with me package. So you're kind of, when we think about packages, sometimes you might set them up as a good, better, best. A do it with me is a way that you can have tasks that are completed by yourself as the agency and tasks that are completed by your client as well. And they're going to handle some of those things and you're going to do some things for them and show value over a long time. But what we've encountered the most is that local businesses, your clients are busy running their businesses. So when it comes to marketing, typically they're going to want a solution that's done for them or a do it for me package, which is uh, also typically the most expensive type of package because there's a lot of value there. But there's different options for who does the work in this package too. Your client doesn't want to do any of that work. That means you can do it internally and you can have a staff that does that, or you can find a white label fulfillment team that's going to do some of that work for you. And that's a way that you can infinitely scale your revenue while keeping your costs low. My apologies. I meant to, or no, that was it for there. So number 2 on strategies is a recurring revenue model. So if you're doing project-based work right now, that creates peaks and valleys, especially with things like websites and digital advertising. So we always recommend for the agencies that we work with to build elements into their packages that are strictly designed for monthly recurring revenue. It's a really important concept. So you want to have a good profit margin on that package and then design it so that there is a foundation of revenue recurring on a monthly basis. Now you might still be selling websites, might still do seasonal digital advertising, but what it allows you to have is a solid foundation month over month that you can forecast on and that you can build on, in order to make sure that your strategy is moving in the right direction. And the more you build up that foundation, the better it is. You don't need to live and die by the project. That one-time revenue that you're selling is in addition to any of the recurring stuff. And then the third thing that I want to talk about here is this idea of, why should you package versus offering things a la carte as well. And you might be tempted to offer things a la carte. Hey, look at everything that we can do. Look at all of the products and services that we have, and you let your client pick and choose. Why don't you look through this and tell me what you want to do? But in my experience, it's always better to be prescriptive. Chances are the client that you're working with or that you're proposing this to have more than one problem. So you need to be able to solve their primary need as well as their unconsidered needs. And this value is what helps to lead to higher retention down the road, which I'm going to show you in a second. So if we think of this from a marketing perspective, and we look at what we call the local marketing stack, there's all of these things that your client needs, whether they know it or they don't know it. And they may be using a number of providers to do this, and they could save money by switching just to you and the package that you offer. Or maybe they haven't even thought about some of these things. And by including them in a package, that covers that idea that I just mentioned of an unconsidered need. The way that we like to say, why is this important, right? Having a bundle. And one of the concepts that we use to help describe this to a local business that you're talking to is this idea of a customer journey. So a prospect or a client that you're talking to, how are their customers going to find them? And that's changed a lot in the past 10 years because customers want to do their research. And where they do that research is online. So your client needs to be found online. And there's all of these different stages that a customer goes through. That's what we call the customer journey. And this is there's solutions that fit along this entire customer journey. And if your client's only focused on one section of this journey, then they're losing customers to their competitors. If a competitor of theirs has a better review score than your client, there's potential that they're going to look at that review score and they're going to convert with that client. Bundling, creating a package, means you have the ability to affect more areas of this journey at the same time, which creates tremendous value. So let's look at some of the data behind packaging that we have. This is internal data here, and I want to start by looking at a single product. So you've talked to a client, right? You've talked to a plumber, and that plumber says to you, "Hey, I really need a digital advertising solution right now." So you go through and you do that. But maybe after a few months, and it's a seasonal campaign, they no longer have that need anymore, and they end up churning with you. If you're just solving one problem for someone, then you're just offering one product, one solution to that. This is what we've seen from a retention rate. After 12 months, 55% retention. After 2 years, it's 39%. And then after 3 years, it's 31%. Let's look at what the progression of this is as we add more products to the mix. So 2 products, all of a sudden that yearly retention, that 1 year retention jumps up to 72%. And after 2 years, 43%, there's a little bit of a change there. There's not a huge change. As you add 3 products to the mix, again, a little bit of a change, but not much. But let's look at what happens when you go with 4 or more products. You're solving a huge number of problems for this business, and you're creating stickiness, and you're reducing churn. Now that yearly retention rate is up to 92%, your 2-year at 70%, and your 3-year at 55%. You're solving more problems through a package, some of which might be unconsidered needs. But now, if there's a problem with one of the pieces of that solution, or they don't have a need for that anymore, there are other things that you're providing value on. Now, that if we think from a marketing perspective, that might mean that you create a bundle that helps them to generate new reviews online, and it helps with their local listings, and it includes on-site and off-site SEO, and it has digital advertising, and you built a website. All of those things combined means that there's a really sticky client. Now, if we look at this 55% from 1 year to 3 years. That same 55% is now present after 3 years. That's a huge increase in the retention. So I want to summarize here with the data and what we've talked about from a packaging and a bundling perspective. You want to upsell to bust churn. If you're only selling one thing right now, you better start upselling to bust that churn and increase that retention rate. If you're not selling in a package perspective, you're missing out on reliable, foundational, recurring revenue for your business, and you are missing out on some of the retention here that you could have as well. That's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for having me and listening here on bundling and on packages as well.
Craig, thank you so much. This was very interesting to see those numbers on how you could actually slash churn, which is, I think, everything that we've listened to until about your speech really culminated well to this, because we want to retain the clients we have first before finding the new clients. We need to stop the leak. And I think what you're showing in the ability to retain more clients by creating a more complex relationship with them is really important. And I just want to ask you for an agency that does, let's say, just one thing. Yeah. How would they go about in creating other, let's say, capabilities or other, let's say, products to sell? How would Vendasta help them?
Yeah, so the way that Vendasta helps, and we see this quite a bit. Let's take an agency that maybe focuses on selling websites. There's a logical step there when you're selling a website, in that you don't want to create a website that doesn't have traffic going to it at all. So the next logical step you might look at SEO to generate organic traffic. What Vendasta does is we have a marketplace of products and solutions, but not only software products, the actual fulfillment behind it too. So I'm talking about that idea of who does the work. So all of a sudden, if you use, a white label fulfillment source like Vendasta, you have the ability to now offer, you're selling websites, that's your core competency, but you could now offer SEO as a part of your package without having to learn all of the complex ins and outs of SEO. You can have an expert fulfill that, and it means that you can scale that too. You don't have to hire people internally. You can scale that way as well. So Vendasta offers that marketplace where you can add those items in, either as your clients are asking about them or as you start to talk from an upsell perspective as well.
So that's really a handy way of actually quickly scaling up your, let's say, monthly recurring revenue with the clients. But there was also one more thing that when you started creating these, let's say, add-ons to the relationship. One of the things that was said before in one of the sessions before, I think it was Robert Craven who said that some of the big clients are now looking to work with smaller agencies, and maybe it's time for the smaller agencies to start aiming a bit higher. And do you think your offering could really help in finding these, let's say, big for smaller agencies to go after bigger pitches?
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about a bigger pitch, or you want to sign someone, a larger business, there's a certain baseline that you need to have, right? You should be able to accomplish multiple pieces at the same time. So when we think about that, having, a team of white label fulfillment experts, products, vendors at your disposal your disposal means that when you send out a proposal to someone, you can have that baseline. You know that you can do multiple things that larger client might need. And on the other side of that too, if you're a smaller agency, it also means that you could go after a higher volume of smaller clients and scale that without necessarily hiring internally.
Well, sounds great. Thank you so much for everything you shared today, Greg.